Okay, Rodolphe Ruch, welcome to the Tokyo Living Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me at your place, Sam. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so perhaps if you could just give the listeners a quick rundown of your story and what brought you to Japan.
Okay, well, I've been in Japan for 30 years now. I originally came as an exchange student. A little bit, how could I say? I had a few choices at the time, and I thought like Japan would be really the place where to go, where people don't usually go. They would go to, from France, you go to where? You go to the US, you go to England, I guess, you go to Germany possibly, but you don't go to Japan. So I thought, it's a different place. So let's try something a bit challenging.
Yeah, right. And what work did you get into when you initially came out here?
Yeah. So when I arrived in Japan, I basically, I first was in high school, Japanese high school, which was very interesting for me. And then I came back a couple of years after that with helping some companies from France, from Bordeaux, because I'm from Bordeaux. So basically I was helping them sell some wine in here. So that's that's the second step, I guess. And the third step is cars, obviously, like a few years after that.
Yeah, well, that's it seems like a sort of dream transition for a lot of people, going from selling wine to selling cars.
So we're selling something, so
yes. And so how did you make that transition from the wine industry into automotive?
I had someone I knew was working in wine, in cars. He was from Australia and he was selling cars there, and that was the kick. That's how it started.
Yeah,
And
okay.
as simple as that. I had a little bit of experience in France, a little bit, but not very much with cars. Like a little bit of mechanic, a little bit of this and that, but. That was a real Kickstarter. This guy who basically needed someone to help, and I came and help.
Okay, terrific. And so, what's the main sort of crux of your business at the moment? How does your business operate, and what are the sort of the services that you provide?
Okay, so basically, what we mainly do is take orders from our customers. So let's say you want to buy a Range Rover Discovery because Discovery is practical, you've got 7 seats and you're set on that model, then I'll be looking for that car for you, including auctions. Auction is a big thing here. It's a little bit like, how could I say? It's like a market where you get all possible cars. So let's say I'm a Toyota dealer and I'm mostly doing Toyotas, obviously. Then the Range Rover comes in, I don't know what to do with it because, basically I'm selling Toyotas, right? So what I'll do is I'll put it in this car auction. I'll sell the Discovery there, and possibly someone else will buy this Discovery or any other Range Rover car over there. So it's a little bit like an exchange place, if you wish, this auction. And in most cases, it's a good way to get a good deal. So that's mainly how we work. We also work with a few other dealers that we know. We've been starting to work over the years, and that's mainly how we work. We mostly take orders as people have something in mind. They like something, a color or a design or model for some reason, and we go that direction. But we also try to, like, if the car is not, how could I say, like when resale time comes, you also have to consider what you're buying now, because if it's really too difficult to resell when you go, then it becomes a problem. So we also try to advise, of course. It's not like just like, I'll go and buy the car for you and whatever it is, we'll buy it. It's like more like, okay, first we need to be sure it's going to be resellable, and we need to check the quality and make sure everything is in order before we do the purchase.
Yeah, interesting. So it's a sort of like a consultation to assess your sort of needs, your I guess your long-term outlook, what you plan to do with the vehicle, and then take it from there. I guess the main reason I wanted to have you on today, Rodolphe, is to sort of discuss some of those processes for people that are perhaps considering buying a car in Japan and just going through some of the stages of owning a car here. And I guess you sort of touched on that a little bit in terms of the buying process. But what are some of the other things that people should keep in mind if they are looking at buying a car here? And I guess things that may differ from other parts of the world in terms of the requirements for buying and owning a car.
Well, I think the most important thing is you need to have a parking spot. You're probably not aware when you're just arriving to Japan, but if you don't have a parking spot and it's not official, so you basically need like a document which says like, me, Rodolphe Ruch, has this parking spot here, and I signed and we agreed that it will be my parking spot for the next 2 years. So if you don't have such a document, well, basically you can't buy a car because the police is going to check and make sure not only you've got this document, but also that the car is going to fit in the spot. So this is, I guess, the most unusual thing you might thing you might get when you get in Japan, because that's it. Yeah, that really is a key, the parking.
Yeah, it's certainly unusual when the police come round to your house and start measuring your house. That sort of certainly wasn't something I was expecting. It's, oh my gosh, was there a murder or something? So that's certainly different from other parts of the world. And to do that, Rodolphe, you need to go down to the ward office and apply for this certificate, or you do that through the police office?
Actually, you need to ask your landlord to give you this document, and
right.
so he give you this approval if you wish. Give you some extra papers as well, and with these papers, we go to the police, the closer police to where you live. The police, the place which is really So basically, it's the parking place which is related to the closest police. I don't know if it makes sense, if my English is clear enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the landlord is relevant for most people who are renting. I know because we own our property, we had to go about that ourselves. So that's probably just one distinction. If you own the property, I think you'd have to go about that process by yourself. At least the initial process.
The papers are fairly similar. So it's like the husband renting the place or giving the place for the parking to the wife, or the opposite way around. You have to do something like this, which is really like, okay, why would I rent the parking to my wife, actually? Can someone tell me about that?
Right, okay.
But yeah, that's the way it works. It's just like, you know how it is with stamps, like someone agrees, I stamp this paper, and this is the next person going to sort of,
Yeah. Okay. And then is that just the buying part that you need the car park for, or is that owning as well? So for example, if you bought the car but then you moved house, for example, would you have to go through that process again, or how does that work?
Yes, normally you do have to do it. Yeah, some people don't. I would say, I'm not sure if I should say it, but from what I can see, actually it's just like a constatation that many people don't do it just because they forget, or because it's a bit complicated. And it's really complicated because you've got to redo the process again.
Yep.
And what happened is, in fact, after a few years, when you sell a car, you need to get an extra document that proves that you have changed addresses. So it's not, normally you're supposed to change the address and the number plate within 3 months after you have changed location. But I can see that basically not many people are doing that. And the way around when you want to sell is to have this extra paper from the city office to show the different addresses you were at.
Sure. And for people that don't have a car spot in their apartment building, there's obviously places that you can rent. What's sort of the requirements in terms of how close that needs to be to your residence? I'm assuming it needs to be within a certain distance.
Yes, it is 2 kilometers. So basically 2 kilometers in a straight line. So you just take a map, measure it, and if you're within 2 kilometers, you're good. If you're slightly over, it's a problem. Yeah, you have to be within limits.
Okay, that's good to know. And can a car also be purchased using a car spot that's close to your place of employment, or does it have to be your residence?
So no, but it depends on how you do it. If it's close to your the place where you work, you could also make it like the place where you work is like your second house, or like your house in the country, which is not. But I mean, it's the way you would make it, and show that basically you've got a relation to the address where you live. So let's say,
Mm.
for example, for us in Azabu, where we are, we use this system as, like, of course it's we are like a company, yeah, of course that's the way we work, but we just like show a telephone bill with our name on it to the police, and that works. So it's fairly easy. It's not, I mean, in some cases it can be a bit complicated if the company doesn't help you, but if I mean, there is always a way around it, which is, yeah, it's possible to do.
Okay, so I think that sort of covers the car park side of things. What other things should people be aware of when purchasing a car here?
Oh, that's a good question. It's pretty wide, wide question. What you should consider. I suppose an insurance could be important because um, people are really picky about small scratches. Like, let's say I had many French people. I mean, because I'm French, I do get French people, of course. But like in France, let's say you live in Paris, you don't really mind about the car in front of you or the car in the back, and you don't mostly mind about your own car, probably, because it's got bump already, it's got a few bumps already. So when you park in and out, you basically go by the sound, right? Like boom, 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 and out. Okay, so it's not exactly like that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's, yeah. Okay, so when I get a French guy who tell me, oh, I've got a slight scratch on my bumper, and I did a slight scratch on the other side, on the other person's bumper, I'm like, okay, show me your car and show me the photos of the other body, because I'm pretty sure it's not that small. Plus here they're very picky. Like, you know, you get a small scratch and that's it. It's the end of the world. So
Yeah.
I reckon you might want to get an insurance which covers at least the other party, so you don't have to pay anything. Because like a bumper change can easily go like 30 million, so it's like 300,000 yen
Yeah. Okay.
if you go to the dealer. Not
Yeah.
with us, of course. But like if you go to the dealer, you do the proper way, they would change it. Like they wouldn't even think about it. They would put a new one, paint it, and that's it. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, you
Yeah.
need to have a good coverage.
Interesting. And one thing that when we bought our car and looked into insurance, we were shocked that the insurance premiums would actually differ depending on the model of car. And so we own a Volvo, and in Australia, Volvo drivers it's like a bit of a joke that your mum's a Volvo driver. It's considered to be a very conservative driver that would own a Volvo. And we were surprised that the premiums on Volvos are actually quite high in Japan, because apparently Volvos tend to get into a lot of accidents. How does that work?
Well, I'm not an insurer, but I roughly know how they work. Let's say I'll give you a couple of examples. We have an old X5 that came back to us. So it's like 20 years old. It's not really for sale. It's just like, I know the story about this car because the last person who owned it, I think it was quoted even for the cheapest rate was like almost 300,000 yen for the insurance, or 250, something like that. It was really high. And the reason why it was high is that it had a big engine and it had no safety feature. So what I'm calling safety feature is like drive lanes feature, like a camera which would tell you by adding a pulse in the what do you call it, in your car, so that you would feel that you're crossing a line, Or let's say if your car has a camera which would allow the vehicle to stop if there is something, an accident would be imminent. If you get that sort of feature, all of a sudden, that 250 comes to, I don't know, like 150 or even
really?
less.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So what is really important is to know is if you've got a big engine and if it's a bit old, your car is going to be quite expensive by the insurance means. If it's fairly newer or really new, and it's got all these features I was mentioning, then you're pretty sure it's going to be quite cheap, actually.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, the new Volvo you were mentioning earlier, the new Volvo, they've got cameras in all directions. They've got sensors in all directions. And just to get a small scratch on it, even if you want to do it, it's like impossible because it beeps and it tells you pretty accurately. Actually, it's like, yeah, the new system are really cool. I mean, I think that's why people change too. The technology with the engine hasn't been so much different recently. It's more the computer system which is integrated to the car that makes a difference, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I guess still on the topic of purchase, you mentioned before the auctions. What's sort of the difference between an auction purchase of a car and I guess purchase a car through a dealer or by other means?
Well, you've got different levels. Let's say you've got money and you don't care, and you want the car that you have in your mind, and that's the one, and that's another one. Well, you go to the dealer, you buy a brand new one. But of course, we're not like that. Most people want to have a good deal. Plus, most people in Japan, coming to Japan, are not going to stay forever. They're going to stay here for like 2-3 years with their family. So I'd say mostly they want to have a used car. In that case, they might want to go for the, how do you call it, premium dealer, like used car from the dealer, or they want to buy a car in a shop or like in auction. So I guess you go like 2 or 3 different levels. I guess if you go to auction, normally you get from a premium dealer car, you get probably 20% discount to 30% discount. So it's pretty big, and you can get the same sort of quality as well. So it's a matter for me or people like doing the job as I do is to find how would I say, the right angle where you get something which is really cheaper and still in very good shape.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
I guess if you go to dealers, but it's the same with auction. Like let's say you buy a car in auction and you got different grading. So number 5, so 5 grading would be the highest. But of course 5 is high, is expensive. So you tend to go for 4 or 4.5. So let's say we get a 4, which means the car's got a few scratches, like light ones, not big ones, and generally the car is in good shape. But it comes to you, and there is an issue with the transmission, for example. So this wasn't noted in the auction document, but you can make a claim for, I think it's 5 or 6 days. And you can say, well, hold, you did your work as checking the car, but obviously there was an issue that wasn't mentioned. So let's cancel the deal. So what I'm saying is it still is a secure system where you can basically, be like still 20 or 30% cheaper, and still be in the same sort of position where you can say, oh, hold a second, there is a problem with this car, and you can cancel the deal.
Okay, that's great to know. And you talk about those grades before, and that's sort of just grades of the quality, the condition that the car is in, and how is it. So a 5 is pretty much there's nothing wrong with the car. Once you start getting down into a 4 or a 3.5, what sort of things can you be expected to? What sort of things can you expect to be maybe not so optimal with the car?
Well, there are different gradings. Like it could be, let's say, a car which normally should be 4.5 could be 3.5 because a door has been changed, or like let's say 2 doors have been changed. But 2 doors have been changed doesn't mean the car was into an accident. It means the the doors, the original doors were beyond repair, meaning that there is nothing beyond repair. You can always repair something, like it's making the metal straight again. The problem is if you go up to a certain point, you can't really make the line straight again. So it's better to get a brand new door, and that's it. So unfortunately for this car, it's really unfortunate because it could be really good, it could be really well repaired, but it wouldn't be considered 4.5 just because it has these 2 doors changed. So you get that sort of cars, but you also get people who don't care. They just drive as they are. The car, they bought it new or used, whatever it is, they just don't care. They drive along, get scratches and get it dirty inside, and at the end of the day, it's like dirty inside, dirty outside. Maybe they didn't check the engine too much, so it's that become as well 3.5. So the whole difficult recipe is to find the right 3.5, if you like, or the right 4 and 4.5. Because even 4.5, you can get a 4.5 or even a 5. It happened to me. I bought a 5 in Nagoya, which was a Volvo Cabriolet, which was a nice car actually. But when it arrived, I was like, we got it checked, but it was in the rain. So in the rain, we couldn't really see what happened is the color has faded, and so the paintwork wasn't as good as it was supposed to be. Wasn't that big issue in the end because with a nice polishing and a nice polymer, we got it back to original state. But my point is, this car shouldn't have been 5. It should have been 4 or 4.5. So it's a bit difficult to just find exactly the right quality. But that's what we do.
Yeah. But there is like a certain correlation between the grade and the price.
Oh yeah, there is definitely. Like let's say, I will try to give you an example. Let's say you're buying a Toyota. It's hard to imagine a car, but let's say you're buying an Estima, which in grade 5 would be 2 million. So just have this number in mind. So let's say grade 5, 2 million. I'd say 4.5 would probably be around 1.75, so 1.75 million. And a grade 4 could actually be 1.5 or under.
Oh wow! Okay.
Normally, but then I had the opposite thing the other day. We bought an Odyssey for a customer, and I realized all the Odysseys were selling at the same price. And when I say all the same price, it's like a grade 5 and even an accident car. So a car which had an accident, and I'm speaking about the chassis, like repaired and made straight again, but still a history of accident. They were about the same price, and I was shocked. And it's because the demand was so high on this car. It was an Odyssey 2016 or 17, I think. It's like, and it had all features like the one I was mentioning to you about, the cameras, the auto braking, that sort of things. So usually is, yes, you get a cheaper deal and it's better because you pay less money and you get about the same quality at the end of the day. So you save some money. It's usually better, but in some cases it just doesn't happen when the demand is too high. Very interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I guess the key is sort of looking for that, what you said, the right 4 or 4.5. So you're getting a car that's in good condition but still at a decent price.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Perhaps if we move on now to the shuck-in, maybe describe that shuck-in process, because I know that's a big part of owning a car or buying a car and owning a car in Japan.
Right. So shuck-in is I think you call it in England, it's called MOT. You might have something else in Australia. The MOT, basically it's based on the security. So let's say if your car brakes fine, if the lights are adjusted, there is no oil leak, no coolant leak, no other sort of issue, basically you get the MOT. That's how it works. Of course, you need to do a previous check to make sure everything is in order. But basically, it's based on security. So you have to make sure your car is safe to drive, and it's safe to the others as well on the road. So you wouldn't, let's say, lose brakes all of a sudden, that sort of thing. That's what check-in is about. But because it's every 2 years, it's also the occasion for many people to do the check. So like change the oil, do the normal servicing, change the brake pads or the discs as well if needed. Just do the normal servicing as well at the same time. It's just the right timing, I guess, to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to know something about the check-in is it goes by the weight of the car. So there is a tax that is there. I'll take the example of my the old X5 I was mentioning to you before. That was a 4.4 liter, pretty heavy. A check-in on that car just by the tax would probably be something around 57,000 yen, something around there.
Right.
But if you take a newer car, let's say a Prius, which is eco-friendly and light, then all of a sudden, instead of paying probably a Prius with a 2 liter engine would probably be around 50 sao, all of a sudden it would be like 25 or even 17,000 yen, just because it's super eco. So you get like a discount on the fact it's eco as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so that you said the check-in needs to be done every 2 years.
That's 2 years, yes.
Yeah. And if you purchase a car, let's say that car had a check-in done 6 months ago, you wouldn't have to do it again for another 18 months after you purchase the car?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, that's good to know. What about taxes, car taxes in Japan? How does
you've got I'll take again the example of my big old X5, which I think is pretty relevant here. Okay, let's say you get a 4.4 liter because this time it goes with the size of the engine. So every April the 1st for the next coming year, you're going to have to pay the local government, something called road tax. The road tax is based on the engine size. So let's say a 4.4 liter would probably give you 72,000 yen or something like that. Let's say an old Ferrari with a bigger engine, either 5 liter, would probably be 100,000 yen. The example of the Prius I was mentioning before, that would probably get you to something around 40 sao or to 30, probably 30 actually, 37 I think for 2 liter or under 2 liter. So basically you're looking at something between, depending on if your car is super eco, because this has a count as well for the road tax, and it's fairly new, you'd be looking at something for a small engine around 25,000 yen for the cheapest, to the most expensive around 100,000. That's for like all cars with big engine, I guess.
Yep.
So this is advance money. So basically, you advance the money for the coming year, and that's how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any other things that people should keep in mind with owning a car here?
People be careful of the taxis. They drive like mad. I mean that's they have no idea what they're doing. Yes, taxi cars. It's like a joke, but it's not really like a joke. You really have to be careful. But yeah, I guess that's the thing that came to my mind. Anything else you need to keep in mind? Yeah, be careful with the parkings as well, because these green guys, I call them mame. Mame in Japanese is what do you call green little things, whatever it is. But whatever, this guy they buy too. Yeah, and they're by set, and they check your cars if you're on the road. So if you leave your car on the road 5 minutes, that's it. They may be around the corner and give you a ticket straight away. And the tickets are quite expensive. It's like 15,000 yen. So you have to be careful on that. The rest, I guess is fine. There isn't much Well, if you speed up on the highway, that could be the last thing I could mention because I don't see any other from that one. Be careful with the Fkumem Patoka. Fkumem Patoka are cars that don't look like police cars, but they are, and they do have like a radar which checks your speed. So they get in your back and take the speed you're driving at, and you get a ticket. We usually don't have that in Europe, so we more have like radars, which are a bit rare here. They're not too many. What they use the system is mostly like the police cars, and actually the motorbikes as well do have it. So if you have a motorbike in the back of your car, be careful.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah, both those things, the taxis. So even just riding a 50cc scooter, I know I've had a bunch of parking tickets, and even for a little scooter, they go upwards of 9,000 yen. And and the taxis, they will, like you said, they stop at no matter where the traffic is or where they are in the traffic. They'll say, see a passenger, they will just stop. And I've luckily only ever had sort of one very minor accident in the, I think it's 15 years that I've been riding a scooter here, and that was just because of a taxi stopping too quickly. So yes, absolutely need to be careful there. The last thing we want to touch on is selling a car. You mentioned off the bat that it's important to consider the potential resale of a vehicle when buying the vehicle, and I guess that's going to be very car specific. What other things should people be mindful of when buying a car for the purpose of potential future resale, or if they are looking at selling their vehicle?
Well, I guess let's say you're a family of 5 or 6. And you're not sure what you want to buy, then I'd say try to get a 7-seater, because a 7-seater always has a value when you want to resell. I guess, but while saying that, I also know that usually people have some car in mind that they want, and it's difficult to change that. So what I just do in that case is I basically say, well, if instead of getting that SUV, you're getting that other one, the chances to sell it might be higher. But let's say you're getting an X3, for example, BMW, which is a 5-seater. I don't think anything wrong with that. Plus, all the systems are in English, so it's pretty easy to buy and sell. Like, I'd buy an X3 tomorrow because they are nice to drive and they've got all features I want. They're 4-wheel drive as well. I mean, not the new ones actually, but well, let's say they're 4-wheel drive. They basically they are what people want. So yeah, for a car like this, I wouldn't advise for anything else. But let's say the customer wants something really specific. You would like to get, let's say, what could be like a Maserati 4-wheel drive. I forgot the name. That could be nice. I mean, it's a nice car. I drove one the other day. It drives nicely. But my question is, if you're going to be here for 2 or 3 years, is it worth spending like 5 million or 6 million on a car like this, because it still is new, compared to a 2 or 3 million or even less X3 or even X5? Because at the end of the day, if you're here for like a few years, you might spend the money now, and if the company send you home like the next year instead of in 2 or 3 years or in 5 or 7 years as they originally planned, then you're in trouble. What do you do with your car? So that's why I tend to push my customers usually to buy cheaper cars, then because then the risk, of course, is less when you want to resell.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's great. All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. We really appreciate your time this morning, coming and chatting with us. If people are interested in buying or selling a car and they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, they can reach me by my email or by my telephone or eurojp.com. That's our website. Okay. There is a link there. Yeah, eurojp.com. Or my email is euro@eurojp.com, so it's the same thing. Or they can call me, like I don't know, if you put a link with my telephone.
Certainly, yeah. We'll put a link with your email address, and
cool.
and a
Thank
link
you.
to the website there in the show notes. So yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch with Rodolphe and look at purchasing a car, then we've my wife and I have obviously gone through the experience, and not only the process of buying a car was very easy going through your company, but also the after sales service has been terrific as well. So I'd definitely recommend.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks very much for coming on today, and
right.
we look forward to chatting again soon.
It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Rodolphe.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Tom. Bye, Sam.